Hi, I am Zane, a relationship consultant and psychologist. Some people are just a little self-absorbed. And then, there are people whose narcissism runs so deep, it distorts the entire emotional landscape around them. The problem is, at first, they can look exactly the same. A little too talkative, a little too into themselves. And you tell yourself, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe they are just having a bad day. But then months pass, maybe years, and the pattern does not break. You start wondering if it is you, if you are too sensitive. But something deep down keeps tugging at you. Something feels off, and you cannot quite name it. That is what we are talking about today, because naming it can be the beginning of reclaiming your sense of emotional safety, especially when it has been quietly unraveling for far too long. Let's dive in deeply. Number 1, the quiet confusion of self-absorption. This can be confusing, deeply confusing. When someone in your life constantly makes things about themselves, maybe it is a partner who turns every conversation into their monologue, or a friend who never seems to ask how you are doing. You begin to feel like a background character in their emotional world, like your voice only matters when it is echoing theirs. You begin to wonder, are they just a bit self-absorbed, or is there something more serious going on here? That question can sit quietly in the back of your mind for months, even years, especially if you have been conditioned to prioritize other people's feelings over your own. And in that silence, your confusion grows. You question whether your reactions are valid, whether your longing for mutual connection is asking too much. Number 2, when empathy still exists. See, someone who is just a little self-absorbed might interrupt you now and then. You might miss the emotional tone of what you are sharing. But here's the difference. When you bring it up to them, gently, honestly, they can actually hear you. They might feel a little defensive at first, but they reflect. They try. They change a bit. They might even say, I had no idea I was doing that. I am sorry. In other words, they have an intact sense of empathy, even if it gets clouded by their own stress or ego sometimes. There is movement. There is give. You feel like your needs land somewhere, even if imperfectly. That repair process, however small, becomes the glue that keeps the relationship human and growing. Number 3, the narcissistic shift. Now compare that to someone with deeper narcissistic traits. When you express a boundary, they see it as a threat. When you share your hurt, they pivot into blame. Your emotions are either dismissed or used against you later. It is not that they cannot understand, it is that they will not. Their sense of self is so brittle, so dependent on being seen a certain way, that your pain becomes an inconvenience they need to erase. Over time, your reality starts to shrink in their presence. You stop speaking up. You start second-guessing what is normal. You might even start apologizing for being hurt. And this cycle repeats until you begin to believe that invisibility is safer than conflict. Number 4, emotional erosion. That is the deeper harm. Not just that they are self-focused, but that their focus erases you. You are not in a relationship with a person. You are orbiting around their emotional survival system. And it leaves you lonely, even when they are right there beside you. There is no mutual shaping, no emotional evolution. It's just a loop where you keep adjusting and they keep deflecting. You become emotionally malnourished, confused about why you feel so drained when nothing dramatic seems to be happening. But the damage is quiet. It is slow. And that is what makes it so hard to leave. Number 5, what your body already knows. So here's what I would say if you are unsure. Ask yourself, when I speak up about my feelings, does this person become more real with me or less? Do I feel closer afterward or more confused? The answer might not be clear right away. That is okay. But your nervous system knows. Tune into that. Notice the tension in your body when you anticipate their response. Not every selfish person is a narcissist. But when someone uses your vulnerability as a weapon, that is no longer ordinary selfishness. That is a relational distortion. And it deserves your attention, because what you are feeling is not irrational. It is your system trying to protect you from emotional erosion. Have you been through something like this? Or maybe you are trying to figure it out right now. I read every comment, and I always want this to be a space where your clarity can start to grow. If this resonates, make sure to subscribe to STR TV so you never miss these conversations that matter. Sometimes healing begins not with answers, but with the courage to start asking new questions. In the next episode, we will talk about how narcissistic dynamics show up in moments of crisis, when you are sick, grieving, or need support the most. Until then, keep tuning into your instincts. And thank you for being here with me on STR TV. They are speaking for a reason.